Hey there, A's Day fans. Welcome to our Friday edition of our show. We have made it through another week and are so thankful that you have chosen us to kick off your weekend, hearing our thoughts on everything athletics baseball. Today is Friday, June 26th. We've got a good show for you. We're going to start on a bit of a low note as we are going to recap what went down in San Francisco as the Giants took 2 out of 3. Despite the fact that the A's did rally back and salvage the 3-game sweep by taking yesterday's exciting come-from-behind thriller. We will dive into the details, recapping all the games, handing out our 3 stars as usual. From there, we are going to provide a little bit of an update as Zack Gelof suffered a gruesome hand injury. He had his hand stepped on accidentally at second base by Matt Chapman, who was approaching the bag. Gelof's hand was at the wrong place at the wrong time. He had to come out of the game, and in the process, he already had an at-bat, had to exit, like we said, bringing a close to his 24-game hitting streak as we take a look into how long we can expect Gelof to be out of the lineup. And then as a corresponding move, Alika Williams is recalled from AAA Las Vegas. We discussed the transaction, and in fact, he had an impact on Sunday's game in a big way. And then before we get on out of here for the weekend and prepare for the return of the next series, more A's baseball. They are facing off with a familiar foe who they faced off against last weekend up in West Sacramento. This time, they're going to be heading on down to Anaheim to take on the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim for a 3-game set as compared to the 4-gamer last weekend. We're going to preview it. We are going to give you the starting times, the pitching matchups. We'll give our usual home run prediction and series prediction. And then from there, we're going to get on out of here and prepare to enjoy first pitch. Thank you all again for stopping by. We've got a good show for you, and we're always thankful to be here behind the mic to be able to talk A's baseball. Holy Toledo, let's go A's. All right, there, A's Day fans. Thank you once again for tuning in to our Friday show. Whenever you're listening to this edition of A's Day Baseball, we appreciate all of your support. All right, without further ado, we're going to jump right in so that we can prepare for the next opponent ahead. But before we can move forward, we have to see how we got here. So we're going to start recapping the 3-game set down in San Francisco. To the Bay we go. Oracle Park, home of the San Francisco Giants, is where the A's road trip would begin this past Tuesday night. A's came in losing 4 of 6, looking to get right on the road, getting back on track. Game 1 featured Aaron Civale going up against Robbie Ray. Pitching and defense would be the theme in the first 2 games of this series, as well as timely hitting. In the second inning, the Giants would strike first, thanks to a solo home run by Jung-Hoo Lee to grab the early 1-0 lead. 2 batters later, Matt Chapman delivered an RBI single as it's now 2-0 Giants after 2. In the third, the A's would get 1 back from the bat of Max Muncy, who brings home Colby Thomas via an RBI single as it's now a 2-1 ball game. From there, it would be tough sailing against Giants starter Robbie Ray, who would only allow 3 more A's base runners the rest of the way, 1 more hit and 2 walks total. Aaron Civale, who was building up his pitch count, once again labored a bit, but put in a much better outing than his previous first start coming off the injured list. Civale went 4 innings in this one, allowing 6 hits, 2 runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. 2-1 game still into the 7th. Rafael Devers would deliver an important insurance run via an RBI single as San Francisco would now extend their lead to 3-1. Like we mentioned, Robbie Ray was a tough nut to crack in this one and ended his day on a 1-2-3 8th inning, getting Muncy to fly out, McNeil to line out, and Nick Kurtz to strike out swinging. Ray was impressive from start to finish. He went 8 innings in this one, 2 hits allowed, 1 run. It wasn't earned since it came on an error, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. The A's put together a mini rally in the 9th, getting 2 on with 2 out, trying to tie or take the lead late. However, it was not meant to be, as Caleb Killian would strike out Henry Bolte swinging to end this one. Ball game over. Giants win game 1, 3-1. Savali, he was better, and obviously you can still see he's working his way back from his return from the injured list. His pitch count is still being built up, but you could tell he was throwing it a bit more free and easy tonight as compared to his first start off the IL, where it looked like it was a lot of rust. Despite the fact of his success in his one and only start at AAA, it's just a different animal at the major leagues. So when you're getting back into the groove of things, opponents are going to feast on that, and that's what we saw last time out. This one, I thought he had a much better showing, a lot more confidence and intent with command as we grew accustomed to seeing early in the season with Savali. Giants put together some good at-bats. They have been a lot more contact-oriented this year, so that has not been the issue on this team. So if there was a reason to lose to the San Francisco team, it's because of the peskiness of their offense. They really grinded out at-bats and made Savali's life a little bit difficult. Despite him only allowing 2 earned runs, it was a grind from start to finish. So kudos to them for that. The A's offense, that's a bigger problem in this one. They were completely shut down, and sometimes you have to tip your cap. And I know that night in and night out, you want to see production up and down the lineup. 1, it's a long season. 2, these guys are human, and it's not always going to click night in and night out for any team. It's not always going to go perfect in this one. Sometimes the guy on the other side, they get paid to be professionals as well, and sometimes they really excel at their job. And that's what Robbie Ray did last night, or Tuesday night, He was really building off the momentum that he generated down in that win he got in Atlanta, where it seemed like he was returning to his Cy Young type form, and then he really kept it going in this one. Really had the strikeout pitch working late, and he really kept the pressure off San Francisco needing to dig into their bullpen early in the series. So that was certainly an impressive performance for them to set the tone for the Giants to go out there to defend their park, especially amidst all the turmoil that they had going on from season's beginning, it seems like, and all the way through. Most recently with the occurrences of what had happened down in Miami. Rafael Devers was waving off the pinch runner. It was just a bad look for optics, and it kind of looked like it was Devers over the team. In that situation, they put that to bed immediately, where next game out, San Francisco goes out, takes care of business. They get the victory off after the off day, and I'm sure that kind of had to feel like a weight lifted for them. But on the A side of things, the offense was shut down, long story short. I mean, in this one, they only go 3 for 29. In fact, only 2 guys had hits. I believe Sodi went 2 for 4 in this one, and Max Muncy had the other hit. Besides that, they were able to generate 5 walks against 7 strikeouts. Did go 1 for 2 in runners in scoring position, but again, those opportunities weren't really there because, again, sometimes you got to tip your cap to the starter on the other side. He really had a brilliant plan. He executed, and he had the A's offense off balance all night. So tip of the cap to him. Definitely a disappointing start against an opponent you feel you should be able to handle, especially with all that was going on with the Giants and how, it just seems like the A's are in a better place in terms of what's going on within their team parameters. But I guess they came in struggling a bit as well with coming off the 4 out of 6. So I guess something had to give there. And I guess going into a home ballpark, home ballpark for San Francisco, I felt like more pressure was on them to get this one. But they were led by that brilliant pitching performance. But nevertheless, regardless, as disappointing as the start of this series was, the next day would bring about a new challenge and a new opportunity to even the series and get back in that win column. As we had a solid pitching matchup on this one, we didn't realize how great it was going to be on paper. Well, at least for our side, we knew it was going to be another brilliant performance. We're in sure on paper on the San Francisco side. But in this one, we were treated to the pitching matchup of Gage Jump, making his 6th career start at the major league level, going up against Tyler Mahle, who was returning from the injured list for his first start since the middle of May. Speaking of pitching and defense theme in the early part of this series, it showed most true in this one. In fact, we were scoreless in this one until the 8th inning. Tyler Mahle was strong, making life difficult for A's starters in his first start back from the injured list. He went 5 2/3 in this one, working his way to the 6th inning. Only the 2 hits allowed, no runs, 2 walks, and 4 Ks. A much better outing for Mahle as compared to his last time out in West Sacramento, where the A's tagged him for 5 runs on 10 hits in 5 innings of work back in, I believe it was May. So certainly a big improvement from Malley, a confidence builder for him, without a doubt. On the other side, for the green and gold, in his 6th career start, Gage Jump was magnificent again. While his pitch count got elevated early due to racking up strikeouts, but also Giants hitters grinding out at-bats against him, he was still able to manage to make it through 5. Jump, he went 5 innings in this one, 3 hits allowed, no runs, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. The 9 strikeouts are a new Major League career high for him, so congratulations to Jump indeed. Certainly someone that really had all of his repertoire working from start to finish. To the 8th we go, 0-0 game. Max Muncy stepped up and delivered a long solo home run to center field into the A's bullpen. It's his 5th on the year. The A's dugout is hype, and we have the game's first run as it's now 1-0 A's. To the 9th we go. On is Elvis Alvarado to close things out. The Giants, they had their own plans. First batter of the inning, Rafael Devers blasted a solo home run to left center. No doubt about this one. It's now a 1-1 game. Alvarado would get the next 2 batters, but then up to the plate steps Victor Barracoto. He comes through with his Giants big league moment. Cue the dramatics. He hammers a solo shot to center 445 feet away, and by the time the ball landed, the Giants walked this way. Absolute heartbreak that keeps finding this team in different ways. Ball game over. Giants rally late in game 2 to win 6-5 and walk it off in style, securing the series victory along the way. So let's start on the positives here. Gage Jump was brilliant again. He continues every 5th day to go out there and show why he's the real deal. I'm sure there will be a time we'll be looking at a start where hitters begin to adjust to Jump's plan of attack, that if Jump doesn't adjust accordingly, there'll be some things that will present itself that perhaps he can use as growing tools, because he is a rookie, and the majority of players in their rookie season definitely have a lot of things to grow upon, typically. I mean, we've definitely, especially more in the modern game, have seen rookies come in and have that instant impact, but for the majority, it's never always smooth sailing. It's just the pure nature of the game. It's not meant to be something that's mastered on a nightly basis. You're going to have your successes, but even the Hall of Famers, the greatest ones, failed way more than they succeeded. Again, that's the nature of the game. It's set up for failure, but it's being in a preparation to be a player in those successful situations that you're cashing in and helping your team deliver victories and championships. So in this situation, however, we haven't seen that with Gage Jump yet. Outside of his first start, where he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings, has been his worst line so far through 6 turns through the rotation. And it seems like he's getting better each time out, although I would say this time perhaps he had to grind out a little bit more. I meant more him racking up the strikeouts in this one. He sets a new career high. Congrats to him. Perhaps his best start was the one prior where he went 7 innings, only allowing the 1 hit. But in this one, I thought he showed a lot of mental fortitude, because I think, the Giants were grinding out those at-bats. Even when Jump was generating those strikeouts, the majority of them weren't quick 3, 4, 5 pitch at-bats. They were typically 6, 7, 8 pitches. So they did a good job again making Jump work. But I think Jump still has that competitive it factor that even when there was some traffic on the base paths, he took that responsibility personally, and his pitches seemed to get even crisper, that it was his duty and purpose to keep putting zeros on the board. So absolute magnificent stuff from the young left-hander. His ERA continues to descend in a positive way, which is great to see. I believe last I checked it was 201 or 207, somewhere in that range. Absolute impressive stuff. And he's much-watched television. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch him pitch, it's electrifying stuff. It's fastballs, 97 to 99. He can even get to triple digits every now and again. It's nasty secondary pitches with a sharp breaker. And it's a guy that just goes out there and competes. It's a pleasure to watch, and looking forward to the day that we perhaps get to watch him pitch live in person, because it's a real treat on television. So can only imagine to see him go to work live in person. So great performance by Jump. He absolutely did his part to help this team win. He absolutely deserved to be victorious in this game. But nevertheless, even at the time that he exited, he would have gotten the no decision, which he ended up getting the no decision, even though the team ended up losing at the end of the day, so it doesn't even matter. But this was a 0-0 game until the 8th. Absolute theatrics at the end of this game. First for the A's, talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Max Muncy living for the dramatics. He hits an absolute blast into the A's bullpen. The dugout erupted. You can just feel the energy in the building shift all towards the A's dugout. You can hear the A's faithful in the crowd, some that may have traveled over from Oakland, but all throughout the area, cheering on. It seemed like it just felt, for a moment, like it was a true return to the Battle of the Bay. I know with the move to Sacramento, things have certainly changed, but it was nice to feel that moment of the atmosphere of that rivalry return to Oracle Park. And you can feel the intensity of the game. It really had the feel of a playoff-like type game. And Max Muncy delivering in that situation. What an absolute drive and what an absolute blast. And at the moment, it seemed like another team-defining moment. That they are going to scratch and claw and find different pathways to win. Whether they have to scratch out a pitcher's duel like that and win a 1-0 game, which they've done before, or they have to get into a slugfest to win those, which they've done. They have to rally back from down 7 runs, 4 runs. They've done that. They're finding all these different pathways to win until they didn't. And that shifts me to my next topic, Elvis Alvarado. We've been singing his praises since he got called up back from AAA. But now it's kind of time to look at some of his deficiencies and perhaps why he was sent down in the first place. And I think one thing that he cleaned up for certain was his command issues. I think that's one thing that held him back, where he wasn't consistently pounding the strike zone. Given his walk rate was a little bit too high, he was allowing hitters to get into hitter advantageous counts. And that's why you saw the inconsistencies despite the blazing stuff. Now, since his recall, he's absolutely been on the attack. He's been pitching with a purpose, which is great. All the stuff has been looking like it's amped up, and I think it's because he's been attacking and working ahead of hitters. And you can see the confidence brimming. The issue, though, he's been catching lately a little bit too much of the plate. Now, even despite the fact that he throws 98, 99, 100, we've seen triple digits many times, these are professional hitters, and there are so many electrifying arms coming out of bullpens of basically all teams in major leagues that have guys that are throwing 98 to 100. So you're seeing that almost on a nightly basis. At one point, it would have been a shocking revelation to see that kind of velocity. But now in today's game, these guys are accustomed to seeing it. They're training off these different machines at an even higher clip to make 100 seem a lot more manageable. Now, I'm not saying that their life is easy because they know what's coming, but I think the more repetition, the more at-bats they have against that pitch, the more recognizable it's going to be and the more success, and these hitters will be ready to attack. And that's what we saw in this one. He threw a 99 and 100-mile-an-hour fastball basically down the heart of the plate, and it was disaster written all over it. Rafael Devers, basically maybe slightly middle away, but it was basically as middle as it gets. And he blasted it. You knew it as soon as the pitch was released, something bad was going to happen. And that ball seems like it's still going. And you just kind of felt the wind go right out of the building for the A's perspective. And you just were waiting for the other shoe to drop, and you knew the inevitable was coming. You didn't know it was going to come so soon. And in the shape of Victor Barracoto, who we'll talk about a little bit more later on. But what a series he ended up having. But he comes through his big Giants moment. Congrats to him, the rookie. He comes through with a walk-off home run, another blast in itself. And that's a great victory for the Giants on their hand. They go out there with the come-from-behind victory. They clinch the series victory on the A's side. It's disappointing. Again, this is a team that you should go out there and handle their business and handle your business against. And now you clinch a losing record against them. These are the type of games, again, I feel like we're mentioning these a lot on episodes lately, which is not a good sign. This is another game I'm marking down, that if we look at the end of the season and the A's miss out on the playoffs, let's say by 3-4 games, maybe even 2-3 games, I can already count on, I have 5-6 games here starred, that if you even take care of business and win half of those, you're in the postseason dance as compared on the outside looking in. And perhaps these are the learning lessons that this team that is still so young needs to continue to learn. That they are going to get closer and closer to returning to the postseason for the first time in franchise history since 2020. That perhaps that they're still going to have to take their lumps along the way in the learning process. Obviously, with a younger team, that's acceptable. But with the potential that they've displayed against some of the game's top teams, you're just waiting for that consistency to start locking in. Because I think this group, now we're past the halfway mark officially. And I think they've shown a lot of flashes of what this team could be. They could be a first-place type team in the American League West. They've flashed great defense at times. When their offense is clicking and humming, it's one of the most prolific offenses in baseball. Pitching still leaves a bit to be desired, but they've been one of the best teams on the road with their pitching staff. In fact, I think they currently, heading into tonight's action, have the fourth lowest road ERA in baseball. So this team should be competing. They should be elevated with their win-loss record. Some of these losses have been self-inflicted due to guys not necessarily getting the job done when it's needed. And again, that's all part of this growth process of a team that is nearing, you would say, at this point, the end of its rebuild. But that's still where we're at. This team, as it's currently constructed, is not a finished product in terms of the young core that still has plenty to go in terms of development. But in terms of pieces on this roster, this isn't the finished product that we're going to see next year. And even when this team is ready to go in Vegas, it's going to look a bit different. You'll see a lot of familiar faces, but I think you're going to still see some younger guys get called up. And obviously with the new move to Vegas, I think that's going to be an attractive place that is going to speak more to free agents, where perhaps the A's are going to have an opportunity to land some free agent prizes that they weren't able to be in the discussion before. Time will tell there. Won't know until we go through that first free agent cycle. Plenty of time to dive into that. It is still 2026. But nevertheless, to say it has been, just another heartbreaking, gut-wrenching loss. And, there are days, there are episodes where it's, you're coming in, the A's are coming off, series victory or split, whatever the case may be. And there's time this team, it's like, man, they really do look like the best team in the American League West. And then there's other times where you just wonder how they're remaining afloat due to the cold nature of as a collective, as an offense that is pretty alarming, to be honest. Some guys are going to be in hot streaks and other guys will be in cold streaks, but for it to all happen at the same time, it seems like this year is really uncharacteristic of a major league lineup. So hopefully that's something that changes over the course of the second half. But disappointing. This is a series definitely thought they would grab. But now, at this point, they need to shift their focus to Game 3, to some daytime baseball that we witnessed yesterday, for them to avoid being swept in San Francisco. We were treated to the pitching matchup of Jeffrey Springs going up against Landon Rupp. We would be scoreless in this one until the fourth, when Willy Adames gets the Giants on the board first via a solo home run, as it's now 1-0 San Francisco. In the fifth, the A's would have an answer right back. Recently recalled, Alika Williams delivered an RBI double, bringing Jeff McNeil on a nifty slide home to tie the game up 1-1. Later in the inning, Nick Kurtz would beat out a return throw from shortstop to avoid grounding into a double play, bringing home Williams and giving the A's a 2-1 lead. Jeffrey Springs would work into the sixth, and after a walk and a single, with one out, his day would come to a close. On would come reliever Matt Crook, recently recalled from AAA. After striking out Devers and an Adames walk with 2 outs, Jung-Hoo Lee would come through with a bases-clearing 3-run triple after the ball rolled by a diving Lawrence Butler in right field. It's now 4-2 Giants. With that, Springs' line would come to an official close. Springs in this one went 5 1/3 innings, allowed 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Next batter up, Barry Cotto demolished a 2-run home run as he continues his impressive series to center field, as the lead is now 6-2 Giants after 6. In the seventh, with 2 outs, the A's would begin the claw back. Shea Langoliers came through with a 2-run single as the deficit is now shrunk to 6-4. In the 8th, the A's continue to chip away via an RBI single from Jeff McNeil as it's now a 6-5 game. To the 9th we go, 6-5 game still, and A's are down to their final out. With their backs against the wall, a sweep in sight, they came to life. A man who has a flair for the dramatics, Jonah Heim, delivered a game-tying RBI single to left field, bringing home Henry Bolte to tie this game 6-6. Next batter up, Lawrence Butler, comes through with a line drive RBI single to give the A's the lead 7-6. The passing of the baton in this lineup continued as Max Muncy gives the A's some insurance with a 2-run single as it's 9-6 A's. On comes Mason Barnett, and he locks down the save, retiring the Giants in order. For the A's, it went Springs to Sterner to Hartlieb to Barnett. Ball game over. A's win 9-6 to avoid the sweep in San Francisco. Springs, much better in this one. I think he just needed to get away from Sutter Health Park in Vegas. I think that really inflated some of his ERA numbers, but has also taken a toll on his confidence. Now getting the opportunity to pitch in a hitter-friendly park. Springs, yes, you saw the mistake that he made to Adames, was with 2 strikes, 2 outs. It was a fastball that caught way too much of the plate. That is a recurring theme that we're seeing over this last run of starts from Springs, over his last 5 starts or so. It seems like he is able to get ahead of hitters, but then catches a little bit too much of the plate with 2 strikes, and hitters have been taking advantage. But much better from Springs in this one. I think definitely lowered the alarm for me just a little bit that perhaps he just ran into a stretch of some hot-hitting teams and some hitter-friendly environments, but a lot of that command that we saw early was evading him in those starts, but he's much better in this one. I want to see one more like this next time out before my confidence in him gets back to a closer level where it was earlier in the season. Because I know as a collective, Jeffrey Springs is a reliable pitcher, but just like most pitchers throughout Major League Baseball, everyone's going to go through a rough stretch. So hopefully this is the start, and this is my positivity around Springs, that this is the start of him coming out of that struggle. Because in this one, you saw him working through his repertoire a lot more efficiently, a lot more confidently, like we saw from him earlier in the season. So hopefully he made some tweaks and some adjustments, perhaps getting a little bit less predictable with his pitch sequencing, is helping him see some success in this start. Hopefully he builds on it in his next start out, that we get to continue to see more performances like this. So time will tell there. So definitely that was an encouraging sign from him. Gave the team a chance to win without a doubt. Kept them in the ball game. Lee, he triples to give the Giants the lead 4-2 after the A's slowly built their 2-1 lead. Great effort by Lawrence Butler. I think in that situation with where he was positioned, I know he's trying to dive and make a play and keep the Giants off the board, but you got to have the grand scope of the situation, that you could see that ball was dying pretty rapidly. I'm not killing him for it. It's just something that I noticed. It seemed like that ball was starting to die pretty quickly, that in that situation it would have been best for Butler to keep it in front, and perhaps the Giants only score 1 run there. And perhaps if they're sending a second runner around, that Butler, with it being kind of in shallow right field and with his strong throwing arm, maybe he has the possibility to cut down the go-ahead run in that situation. Could have been different. But obviously the competitor, and in the moment, I'm not going to bash a guy for effort. It was a great effort. He didn't miss it by much, to be completely honest, and we would be having a different conversation, obviously, if he caught it. I just thought that was something interesting I noticed in the moment. Great effort by him. It wasn't meant to be, and unfortunately it led to 3 Giants runs. But definitely he comes through later, and obviously he's someone, Butler, that really has, over these last 2.5 to 3 weeks, has had a little bit more of a resurgence offensively. He's been coming through in these late game situations, comes through, gives the A's the lead 7-6 with that go-ahead knock, and it's been a really calming sight to see Butler get back to the player that we saw at times last year. It's been a struggle for the majority of this year, but over the last 2-3 weeks or so, he's looking like the Butler of old. And obviously Jonah Heim has a flair for dramatics. That's his 3rd late inning go-ahead or tying hit. And since joining the A's, he's got 2 via the home run in this one. He hits a game-tying single to left. impressive stuff. Heim looking like the Jonah Heim of old offensively since he was acquired by the A's. What a move that's what it's been. It's really saving some mileage on Langoliers, allowing Langoliers to have more DH days, because with Jonah Heim as a backup who has absolutely the capability to be a team's everyday starting catcher, it's such a luxury to have. It keeps both guys fresh, and a lot of times we've been seeing when even Jonah Heim might not be catching, you're seeing him slot in at the DH position, which I believe he's going to be in the 5 hole in the DH spot in tonight's game against the Angels. We'll have to make a note of that. But great team victory in this one. They rallied down from 4, and it's really defining that this team continues to fight and not quit until that 27th out, that they feel with the talent on this team that if they get going at the right time, that any deficit is well within reach, and they have a strong ability to overcome it. The Cardiac A's, that's been the story of this team a lot of the season. That was their 22nd come-from-behind victory, which is the most in baseball. And that really, now, it could speak to two things. It could say, one, well, this team needs to find a way to establish games better and let them dictate it as compared to opponents dictating the early portions of games. Having to come from behind that often could be a sign of that. But on the other side, it shows a lot of character. It shows a lot of fight. And that's the side I like to lean on. It shows a lot of fortitude. I've seen a lot of these gritty teams that are able to go on a run, show a lot of their character late in situations. The teams that may have their backs against the wall, you see when they're about to wilt. But these A's, they're young, they're hungry, and you can see, especially in this situation, they didn't want to go out there and get swept in a road series where it felt like the A's were perhaps the team favored throughout the course of these 3 games. Definitely would have brought about more questions, and obviously you want to stay in the fight within the AL West, especially with how you've been seeing Houston playing lately, and Seattle continues to keep pace at the top of the division. So it's important for that, keeps them within a game and a half of the division, I believe. Definitely ending a disappointing series, but it was certainly ending it on a high note, and hopefully they can carry that momentum now down with them into Anaheim, a team that they do hold the season advantage of right now, but a team historically in their lower moments that they've struggled with. So hopefully with that big come-from-behind victory in Game 3, they can use that in a positive way against the Angels. They went 6 for 15 in runners in scoring position in this one. Very impressive team collective come-from-behind victory. A's are now 39-42, tied for second place in the American League West with the Houston Astros, and they are currently a game and a half back of the Seattle Mariners for first place. Now, let's recognize 3 A-star performers from their performances this past series against the Giants. So for our third star, even though he did only play in 1 game, I felt it really symbolized staying locked into the fight, being a team guy, and making an impact when called upon. So for our third star, we're giving it to Alika Williams, who was recently recalled following Zack Gelof's injury, and we'll have a little bit more on Jacob Wilson a little bit as well. They needed some infield depth, and at a moment's notice, Williams got recalled and delivered immediately. At one point, he had a game-tying hit and then scored the go-ahead run in that 5th inning. He went 2 for 4 in this one with RBI and 2 runs scored. I just loved him being that dialed in and locked in immediately for someone that had been at AAA for a little bit now. After his first call up after he was acquired to the Major League team, getting sent down, now getting called up when the team is reliant on infield depth, that you're able to help contribute and deliver to the team immediately. So he gets our third star for the impact he made on this game. Our second star, we're going to give it to Gage Jump. He had an impressive performance in Game 2 of the series. Again, 5 innings, 3 hits allowed, no runs, 1 walk, and the 9 strikeouts are a career high for him thus far through 6 Major League starts. And our first star, he had his fingerprints all over this series. He almost really had a game-defining home run taken away by a late Giants rally. but then added 2 important insurance runs with a 2-run single to help secure the Game 3 victory. We're giving it to Max Muncy. He went 3 for 10 in the series with a home run, 4 RBIs. He also had a stolen base as well. Those are our 3 A's star performers. Disappointing series indeed, but glad they were able to end on a positive note. Let's carry it into the weekend and get some AL West victories. Before we get to that preview, we do have a couple of news topics to get into. So first, we're going to talk about Zack Gelof's hand injury. A's infielder Zack Gelof left Tuesday night's 3-1 loss to the Giants in the second inning with a gruesome injury after Matt Chapman stepped on Gelof's right hand during an awkward tag play at second base. Gelof's injury, which the Athletics said was a right hand laceration and contusion, put a painful end to his 24-game hitting streak, which equaled the longest streak in Major League Baseball over the past 2 seasons. The streak is also the 6th longest in Athletics franchise history. The injury occurred as Matt Chapman was attempting to stretch an RBI single to a double. The throw from left fielder Tyler Soderstrom beat Chapman by 4 strides, and Chapman tried to avoid the tag without sliding. Gelof took the one-hop throw on his knees in front of the base and appeared to slip as he reached up to tag Chapman. Gelof ended up with his right hand on the ground as Chapman reached the base, and Chapman's right foot slammed into Gelof's forearm before landing heel first, digging into the back of Gelof's hand. It was a nasty scene. Reflexively, Gelof attempted to free his hand, and when he pulled it away, blood from 3 spike punctures were clearly visible. He immediately jogged off the field in obvious pain. Gelof was unavailable for comment after the game, but manager Mark Kotsay said x-rays were negative and Gelof initially did not need stitches. It has been a resurgent season for Gelof, who left the game hitting .282 with 11 home runs and 29 RBIs. After establishing himself as one of the Athletics' budding young stars with an impressive rookie season in 2023, he spent most of 2024 mired in a slump and sat out most of last season because of injuries. He has been the team's most productive hitter in June, hitting .351 with 5 home runs and 12 RBIs during his 24-game hitting streak. Zack Gelof eventually would be placed on the 10-day injured list after his right hand was punctured by a cleat, effectively ending his streak, suffering a right hand laceration contusion during the brutal bottom of the second inning play. After the game initially, Mark Kotsay said there was no plan to place Gelof in the IL, saying the team would handle the injury day-to-day. However, Kotsay said Wednesday that Gelof's hand was still swollen and painful and that a decision would be made regarding an IL stint. Officially, yesterday, which it was, Zack Gelof is headed to the 10-day injured list to allow the swelling to go down, and hopefully it's not too much time after that. Hopefully he's back within the minimum allotted time that he has to be out. But really tough break. Really an awkward play that rarely ever happens. Wrong place at the wrong time. And it's just a shame because of how locked in Zack Gelof was. And things were clicking. He was healthy night in and night out. And really being one of the more productive players in this A's lineup. So now for him to suffer this injury blow, now he's going to be on the 10-day injury list. It'll take a little time for it to heal. And then he's going to have to get some comfort level swinging the baseball bat once again. So it's going to take him a little bit of time to get back into that rhythm. So let's be patient with him. Hopefully, get it back post All-Star break would be my guess. Like I said, like immediately after the All-Star break, unless he's a fast healer. But I wouldn't imagine the A's would want to rush that progress along, especially with how gruesome that injury looked. I can imagine he was in a bit amount of pain that following day. And I'm sure an injury of that nature is going to need some time to heal. So time will tell there. We'll certainly provide updates as we know more. But we do know at least for the next 2 weeks he's going to be on the shelf. We'll see how much longer from there it'll be. But definitely a blow to this A's lineup. He was certainly a strong positive catalyst. Get well soon, Zack Gelof. We can't wait to see you back out there in the infield, outfield, or wherever this team needs him. Needs him to deliver. Typically in 2026, Gelof has in a big way. All right, another move recently that occurred with the loss of Gelof. A's utility infielder Alika Williams was recalled from AAA after being sent down on Monday. So he's sent down on Monday. Gelof gets hurt on Tuesday. Alika Williams was recalled on Wednesday. Williams ended up getting the start at shortstop and hit ninth for the A's during their series finale. During their 9-6 victory, he went 2 for 4 in the game. Heading into that game, he was in 45 at-bats across 23 games with the A's this season. Williams is slashing a .289 batting average, a .319 on base, and .467 slugging percentage with 6 extra base hits. A's all-star shortstop, Jacob Wilson, for a little bit more of some A's housekeeping, was out of the starting lineup yesterday after he was pulled late in Wednesday's game due to left shoulder soreness. Wilson appeared to hurt his shoulder while trying unsuccessfully to avoid a tag by Giants catcher Eric Haas at the plate during Wednesday's 2-1 loss. Kate said post-game that Wilson could not swing a bat properly due to the injury, but did not have an update on his status. So welcome back, Alika Williams. It's unfortunate for the reason why he is back due to the injury to Zack Gelof, and now we're monitoring the health of Jacob Wilson. But Alika Williams, certainly, he's a gamer. He's a utility guy, and it seems like when he's called upon, he's going to answer the bell more times than not, defensively or offensively. He puts together good at-bats. He hits the ball well to all fields, and he's delivered in some crucial spots. And he's been a little bit of a spark plug in his own. So definitely a nice acquisition that they were able to complete from Pittsburgh, getting Williams, and especially with the health of this infield now. With Zack Gelof out for at least a couple of weeks, perhaps a little bit longer. And now the other concerning news, which I think is a lot more concerning in terms of long-term health, is shortstop Jacob Wilson. And you saw, if you were watching the game, he was trying to score at the plate. The ball kind of went up the line, and Wilson was trying to avoid the tags from Haas. He did initially, but on the return dive, the way his arm extended and then landed when pressing on home plate, you could see that Wilson immediately was grimacing to that same shoulder that he had the sublation, and so that's certainly a concern. He was pinch hit for at the end of that game because he, as manager Mark Kotze said, he couldn't physically swing the bat. So that's definitely something concerning, and I'm sure they're doing some imaging as we speak, or a little bit before. As soon as we get some announcements on that, we'll be sure to share with you. But unfortunately, from the nature of it, and especially with it being an injury to something he just came back with, I'm not gonna, don't be surprised if they shut him down for a little bit, that another IL stint might be coming. That would be another big blow, because you could see the whole energy and the life from this team elevate to another level when Jacob Wilson is in the lineup. And it would be tough to see how hard he came to fight back. And as soon as he came back to this lineup, but they started winning ball games again. I think he is the straw that stirs this drink, despite the fact he's in the middle of all these big sluggers, that Jacob Wilson, with his contact ability and his high energy on defense, really speaks volumes to setting the tone for this team to be victorious. So hopefully it is something where Wilson was just maybe perhaps overextended it and will be feeling better in a few days. But to me, I'm a little bit concerned if the injury is to the extent where you can't even physically swing a bat. When you're at that point, where your arm is not allowing you to physically do something, to me, that could be a significant problem. We will be monitoring it as we go. Before we preview the next opponent up for the A's this weekend, this episode is brought to you by Visit Mesa. Welcome to Mesa, Arizona, a destination for every season. Experience a destination where adventure, culture, and culinary experiences are limitless. As the gateway to the stunning Sonoran Desert and Tonto National Forest, Mesa invites you to explore its scenic waterways, kayak through winding canyons, or paddleboard along the Salt River. For a one-of-a-kind desert adventure, ride the waves of Revel Surf at Cannon Beach, the country's first surf park of its kind. Downtown Mesa is a vibrant hub, home to the Mesa Art Center, public art, award-winning breweries, and local shops. Food lovers can explore the fresh foodie trail and the diverse flavors of Mesa's Asian district. Sports fans can experience MLB spring training with the Athletics and Chicago Cubs, or visit one of North America's largest youth sports complexes. As the world's first autism-certified city, Mesa is dedicated to accessibility and inclusivity for all visitors. All right, let's get to the back half of our show. Next up, the A's continue their road trip down to Southern California to take on a team they faced last weekend. Starting tonight, They will be going up against the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim as we preview this AL West showdown with first pitch scheduled for 6:38 p.m. Pacific time. We apologize if a lot of this sounds repetitive to last Thursday's show. If you want to fast forward, we totally understand. There is one new pitcher that we are going to be diving into, but as a refresher for those that perhaps were not able to join us last week, we're going to preview all of the starters that will be going for the Angels in this series. So the Angels come into this weekend with a 34-48 record, last in the American League West. In their last series, they took 2 out of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles. They lost Game 1 6-1 before storming back to take the final 2 5-1 and 7-6. Coming into tonight's action, the Angels offensively have been batting .239 for a team batting average, which is 21st in baseball. They've hit 98 home runs, which is tied for 11th. They've scored 374 runs, which is 10th. They've walked 278 times, which is tied for 12th. They've struck out 782 times, which is the most. And they've hit to a .717 OPS, which is 16th. On the mound, they've pitched to a .463 ERA, which is 25th. They've walked 373 batters, which is the most. They've struck out 714 batters, which is 7th. And they've pitched to a .141 whip, which is 27th. And defensively, they fielded it at a .983 fielding percentage, which is tied for 27th. And they've committed 50 errors, which is 24th in baseball. Here is how the Angels typically project for their starting lineup. They are led off at shortstop by Zach Neto. Batting second, it'll be a combination depending on the lefty-righty matchup. At first base, it'll either be Vaughn Grissom or Nolan Schanuel. Batting third in right field, Joe Adell. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, Jorge Soler. Batting fifth, the second baseman, Oswald Peraza. Batting sixth, the left fielder, Wade Meckler. Batting seventh, the third baseman, Denzer Guzman. Batting eighth, the catcher, Logan O'Hoppe. And batting ninth in center field, Jose Siri. Now, let's get familiarized with the first pitch game times starting tonight and all through the weekend, as well as the starting pitching matchups for both teams. Tonight, 6:38 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. JT Ginn is getting the ball for the A's, going up against Walbert Urania. Tomorrow night, Game 2, also a 6:38 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Jack Perkins is getting the ball for the A's, going up against Reed Detmers. Then the rubber match of this 3-game set is Sunday, 12:15 p.m. Pacific time, first pitch. Aaron Savali getting the ball for the A's, going up against Sam Aldegheri. Now, let's get familiarized with these Angels starting pitchers. Now, 2 of them we were witness to last weekend. The third Game 3 starter will be a new scouting report. So Game 1 starter, right-handed pitcher Walbert Urania. He comes into this start, 13 games pitched, 11 games started, 4-5 record with a .260 ERA. In 62 1/3 innings pitched, he's walked 35 batters, struck out 58, and has pitched to a .135 whip. In his last start at Arizona, he went 7 innings, allowed 7 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 3 Ks. His fastball in the air has averaged 97.6 miles an hour thus far, which ranks in the 92nd percentile of all qualified pitchers. He's also pitched to a .52 ground ball percentage, which is 89th, and an expected batting average of .202, which is in the 86th percentile. Urania has emerged as one of the most surprising and dominant rookie bright spots for the Los Angeles Angels. After initially cracking the opening day roster as a reliever and being optioned to AAA, the 22-year-old right-hander has cemented himself as a staple of the big league starting rotation. He is currently pitching through a stellar stretch, having allowed 3 runs or fewer earned in 9 consecutive outings. Urania is an athletic 6-foot right-hander with a clean, compact arm stroke. He features a diverse 4-pitch mix built on raw power and excellent horizontal movement. He works with a sinker, which is his primary weapon. It regularly sits at 95 to 97 miles an hour and routinely flashes triple digits, touching up to 100 to 102 with sharp, heavy downward action. His changeup is his premier secondary pitch. StatCast ranks him in the 99th percentile in off-speed run value. It displays hard, late-fading action in the mid-80s to low 90s, generating a high volume of chase. His four-seam fastball ranks in the 93rd percentile in raw fastball velocity. He uses it up in the zone to change batter eye levels, though it lacks the elite vertical ride of modern rising fastballs. His sweeper slider, historically, Urania struggled to find a reliable breaking ball. In the majors, he has fully adopted a mid-80s sweeper. While it remains inconsistent, it gives him a necessary horizontal break away from right-handed hitters. He continues to display his elite ground ball generation. This ability forces double plays, minimizing damage when he allows base runners. He's been inducing soft contact and baffle factor. He ranks in the elite tiers of expected batting average and hard hit avoidance. Hitters find it incredibly difficult to square up his velocity combined with late changeup fade. Initially viewed as a high leverage reliever due to command flaws, Urania has learned to work around the zone more efficiently, recently pitching a 7-inning quality start on just 88 pitches. His biggest developmental hurdle remains a 12.9% walk rate. He frequently works deep into counts and struggles with exact pitch localization, resulting in a bloated 1.35 whip despite his low ERA. His 2.60 ERA stands in stark contrast to his 4.15 FIP. This indicates he has been heavily bailed out by elite defense, an unsustainable left-on base percentage, or good luck on batted balls. Despite having a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, his strikeout rate sits at a modest 21.3%. Because his breaking stuff is still a work in progress, advanced hitters can foul off pitches and wait out his walks. As for Game 2 starter, the A's will be going up against left-handed pitcher Reed Detmers. Detmers thus far in the year has made 15 starts, going 3-5 with a 3.68 ERA. He has pitched 88 innings, allowing 24 walks, and even 100 strikeouts, and an even 1 whip. In his last start, he got the win at Arizona, going 7 innings, allowing 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 3 Ks. His fastball has averaged 94.1 miles an hour on the year thus far. Detmers has transformed into one of the premier left-handed starting pitchers in baseball after a highly successful transition back into the Angels rotation. After spending the previous season strictly out of the bullpen, the 26-year-old southpaw has unlocked an elite strikeout profile and stabilized his command, making him one of the most sought-after trade trips ahead of the summer deadline. Detmers' success stems from a simplified approach honed during his relief stint, which he has successfully carried back into a starter's workload. He primarily utilizes a highly effective 3-pitch mix. His four-seam fastball, averaging 94.1 miles an hour, is a noticeable tick up from his early career velocity. The pitch generates an elite 29.4% whiff rate and severe riding action at the top of the zone. A slider cutter sitting in the mid-80s, this pitch has become a major weapon against both lefties and righties. It flashes tighter spin and sharper break than in years past, generating a 30.7% called strikes and whiffs rate. His curveball is his signature 72 to 76 mile an hour 12 to 6 hammer. It remains a true plus pitch with exceptional depth, used beautifully to drop into the zone for early strikes or bury in the dirt for chases. He is pitching as a frontline strikeout machine, has shown an elite knack for missing bats. Over a recent 5-start stretch, he compiled a mind-boggling 1.36 ERA with 39 strikeouts in 33 innings. He has shown advanced maturity with his pitchability adjustments. Against heavy contact teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks, he can pivot away from chasing whiffs, instead pitching efficiently to contact to log 7 scoreless frames on just 3 strikeouts. Harnessing the strike zone, the pesky walk and home run issues that plagued him in 2023 and 24 have been mitigated by a cleaner, more repeatable delivery. Having pitched as a reliever for all of last year, maintaining this high-intensity, high-velocity arsenal through August and September remains an unproven volume test. He does occasionally blow up. While mostly dominant, he is still prone to occasional catastrophic outings when his release point wanders, such as an 8-run shellacking by the A's back in mid-May. Detmers has outgrown his previous projection as a back-end inning eater and is currently operating like a legitimate number 2 starter with a frontline ceiling. Because he is just 26 years old and has 2 additional years of team control remaining via arbitration, he has become a nuclear asset on the trade market. Contenders like the Braves, Rays, Yankees, and Dodgers are heavily monitoring his availability as a premier impact arm. And for Game 3 starter, the A's will be going up against left-handed pitcher Sam Aldergary. On the year thus far, Aldergary has pitched in 7 games, 4 of those starts, pitching the 2-3 record with a 5.47 ERA. In 24 2/3 innings, he's allowed 12 walks, 16 strikeouts, and pitched to a 1.50 whip. In his last start, he lost against the Orioles, going 4 2/3 innings, allowing 5 hits, 5 runs, 1 walk, 3 Ks. His fastball on the year thus far has averaged 92.1 miles an hour. He is a pitchability southpaw who relies on dynamic pitch mix and precise location rather than overpowering velocity to record outs. After building strong momentum in the bullpen and earning a promotion to the starting rotation earlier this month, Aldergary has struggled recently, pitching to a 5.47 ERA and 1.50 whip over 24 2/3 major league innings. Aldergary utilizes a distinct four-pitch mix, highlighted by a recently integrated cutter that has become a vital weapon in his arsenal. A four-seam fastball sitting at 92.1 miles an hour and maxes out near 94 to 96. The pitch generates an excellent 16 inches of induced vertical break, causing it to rise and surprise hitters high in the zone, though its overall whiff rate remains below average at 19.4%. His changeup sits at 80.5 miles an hour and is highly effective at neutralizing right-handed batters due to its heavy, fading action and 9.7 inches of vertical rise profile. His cutter sits at 86.7 miles an hour. Added to his repertoire to help him stick on the big league roster, this pitch serves as a crucial bridge to help keep hitters off balance. His curveball slider, slurvy breakers ranging from 74 to 81. His low 80 slider acts as his main strikeout pitch when hunting for chases outside the zone. Pitch sequencing, he is highly praised for his pitchability and clever sequencing. He does an exceptional job keeping hitters off balance by aggressively hiding his release points. When he is on target, he induces weak contact. Opponents had a modest 34.9% hard hit rate and an 87 mile an hour average exit velocity against him. Some command volatility. His biggest hurdle is avoiding high damage mistakes. In his latest June outing against Baltimore, leaving balls up in the zone resulted in 2 costly home runs. His elevated walk numbers, 12 walks in 24.2 innings, prevent him from pitching deep into games. So those are how those are the pitchers the A's hitters are going to go up against. How have the A's hitters fared against them in the past? Against Urania, Kurtz is 2 for 6 lifetime with 2 doubles. Henry Bolte is 1 for 3. Jeff McNeil 2 for 5. Butler 1 for 2. And Shea Langoliers 1 for 6. Against Reed Detmers, Jonah Heim is 6 for 22 with 3 doubles. Nick Kurtz 3 for 6. Henry Bolte 2 for 6 with a double. Tyler Soderstrom is 2 for 6 lifetime as well. And against Sam Aldegheri, the only guy to face him was Jonah Heim, and lifetime he is 1 for 2. Thus far on the 2026 season, the A's hold the head-to-head advantage 5-3 in 8 games that these two have faced off against each other thus far. In West Sacramento, they split the 4-game series with the A's winning the first 2 and the Angels storming back to take the final 2. Let's see what they have for a follow-up performance. Some Angels players to watch this weekend are shortstop Zach Neto. He comes into this weekend hitting .228 with 17 home runs and 38 RBIs, hitting to a .783 OPS. Second baseman Oswald Peraza, he's hitting .259 with 7 home runs and 21 RBIs, hitting at a .712 OPS. And right fielder Joe Adell comes in .248 with 10 home runs, 41 RBIs, and a .676 OPS. A couple young X factors to keep an eye on are Denzer Guzman, who had a monster series against the A's. I believe he had 3 home runs in that 4-game set. And Wade Meckler, an impressive outfielder as well. So now it is prediction time for our A's home run prediction. We are going to select Shea Langoliers to hit at least 1 home run this weekend against the Angels, and for him to join the 20 home run club in 2026 thus far. As for a series prediction, we do feel the A's are going to ride high from the momentum of securing that victory, despite the fact they lost the series against the Giants. I think the thrilling nature of coming back from down 6-2 and exploding in a big way in the 9th inning of that game, they take the good feelings into the into the road trip, continuing down to Southern California, and now have an opportunity to get some wins against the American League West. So time will tell there. But we are going to predict that the A's are going to take 2 out of 3. We do feel that they are going to continue their path of dropping the first game of a series. We do feel they'll continue to have some tough findings against Urania. He has been a tough nut to crack thus far in 2026. So we do feel they'll lose 4-1 tonight. But we do feel they will storm back over the weekend to take the final 2, to take this 3-game series 2 out of 3. We do believe they'll win tomorrow 6-5 and Sunday's game 7-4. So let's see the A's show up, get some important AOS victories, continue to hold the advantage of the tiebreaker head-to-head against the Angels, and get back on the winning track consistently. I hope you all have the opportunity to tune into A's baseball, which should be starting shortly by the time this is posted, and all throughout the weekend. Let's see the green and gold move closer to getting back atop the American League West. With that brings us to the close of another edition of A's Day. We appreciate you all stopping by for our Friday edition of our show. we will be back behind the mic for Monday's show, recapping what goes down in Anaheim in this 3-game set against the Angels, as well as any other A's news that comes across our desk between now and Monday's show. And then we will be sure to preview their next series. We will be holding our Los Angeles Dodgers series preview, which is set to begin at Sutter Health Park Monday night. So it should be a fun show on Monday. Till then, hopefully we are treated to some A's victories. That's all I have for you today. Once again, I'm your host, Joe Grado. Thank you all for stopping by. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Hope you all enjoy all of the A's baseball. We certainly will. Take care, everyone. Hope you're all well, and we'll see you right here, same spot, for Monday's show. Until next time, Holy Toledo, let's go A's.